The most important word in the Four Noble Truths, dukkha. Second Noble Truth, dukkha samudaya. That one, dukkha nirodha. And the fourth one is the Astanga, what they call it, the Magga. Okay? These are the important things. Now, for us, therefore, we got to work ourselves towards this Four Noble Truths. Over my years of going to teach Buddhism and talking to people about Buddhism and converting a lot of people to Buddhism, you find that a lot of people come into Buddhism in a very funny way. Maybe some of them say, I like the Dalai Lama's hairstyle, so I become a Buddhist. Or the Buddha can work miracles. I go and pray to the Buddha so that I can do this, I can do that. And some of them, they say, okay, the more realistic one, they say, the Buddha's Dharma is very, very convincing. Right? It helps me a lot and all these things. And I think it will help me. But it helps you in what way? You all know that the Buddha Dharma helps you. But how does the Buddha Dharma help us? It helps us to get rid of our dukkha. Right? So you must think that the dukkha samudaya, dukkha nirodha is very, very important. And these are the things which should be the very basic that you build, which makes you want to commit yourself to become a Buddhist. Our way of doing things. We don't have to believe in things. Right? In other religions, they have to believe. Percaya is a very terrible thing. Because when you believe things, people can tell you all sorts of nonsense. Isn't it? Now, dukkha, you don't have to believe. Because you yourself experience dukkha all the time. Right? So we don't have to talk about that. No, I don't have to explain to you too much about dukkha. And for us, when we experience dukkha, we don't know what it is. We know that samsara and all these things, I feel very unhappy and all this. But actually, the Buddha explains to us that dukkha samudaya. Where the dukkha samudaya is explained to us is through what we call the paticca samuppada. Paticca samuppada means how we go and accumulate and make all these sort of things through our mind, right? Through our citta and all this, we go and make a lot of dukkha for ourselves. And the Buddha says, can this dukkha be destroyed or we can finish? Yes. If you start to cut the chains from your samudaya, and then the fourth noble truth, it says, is to teach you the way, right? The eightfold path. And for any of us who want to follow this, is what we call people who are upasaka and upasika. You, me, we are all upasakas and upasikas. The men are called upasakas, the women are called upasikas. We are the one who try to keep the 5 precepts. We are the ones who are committed to the Buddha's teachings. When you say Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, what does it mean? It's not just words. It's not very comfortable to say that. Buddha Saranang Gacchami is I go under the protection of the Buddha, lindungan, as you say in Indonesian. So we got to understand that when you go under the protection, we got to follow what the Buddha says. Right? And unfortunately, a lot of us as lay people, we do not understand. Right? We just follow tradition. Right? Now, I've seen my friends who are converted to Christianity, they go there. The first thing they do is being brainwashed. They're taught that this fellow has got a little booklet. She brings along, when she goes to the shop, waiting for something, she take out a booklet and read. Waiting for a train, she take the booklet and read. What would we do? How do we contribute to our own good? Almost little. We wait next Sunday, maybe 2 Sundays time, I go to the Vihara, I go there and pray. Right? That's what we do. And then when you're in trouble, there's a time, and I say, if you say you are scared of ghosts, what do we do? Got formula, isn't it? When you see outside there, and then, hantu, and Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa, hoping that the ghost will go away. Isn't it? That's how we look into our religion. But if you can bring about the very essence which every Buddhist will have to contribute towards the faith, right? The saddha in the religion, then you find that your practice will be much easier and your progress will be much better. Right? So today's talk, I want to talk about that. Now, but how do you become a Buddhist? Just now I say why you become a Buddhist. Why you become Buddhist is what the idea which makes you want to become a Buddhist is what we call hiri and ottappa. You heard about the words hiri and ottappa? Okay, explain to them later on. Right? Discuss among yourself and know. The hiri and ottappa means the understand and the fear or the dislike of dukkha. Right? So this hiri and ottappa eventually will become the supporting thing to support you in your saddha. So in our long prayers, sometimes you see saddha danang, sila danang, hiri ottappiya danang. They are all part of the Dhamma. Right? And when you have the hiri and ottappa correctly, then you find that your practice is much easier and nothing can shake you from your faith. Right? It's not something which you believe. What you believe can be shaken. But when you understand and commit yourself fully to it, then you can't be shaken from your faith. Right? And during the Buddha's time, there were a lot of people who are a bit doubtful about this. So he asked the Buddha. The way they asked the Buddha is how to become a Buddhist. And in modern days, when we want to find out how to become a Buddhist, we either look into other people and say, okay, this is everybody's behavior, so I do like the same thing. Isn't it? But what did the Buddha say? I've already, a few talks back last year, the year before, isn't it? I talked about that, right? But today I'm going to go a bit deeper into it. Right? It comes into one of the suttas in the Nikayas. Right? The sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya, the sutta in the Digha Nikaya, and for us to follow. And also, you all do that every week. That is chanting the Mangala Sutta. The Mangala Sutta, people use it in the wrong way. They always use it as a blessing. Because the word is talked about, the translation of Mangala is blessing. So they want to bless a house, you move the house, okay, to chase away all the bad spirits. Okay, Tang, Ewang, Me, Sutang, and all that. Right? So we use the Mangala Sutta in the way to suit our belief. Right? Because all Indonesian and all Malaysian like me believe in Hantu. Right? So, or when somebody is sick, we go there and either chant Metta Sutta or Mangala Sutta. But Metta Sutta is not used to as a medicine. Metta Sutta is used as a medicine for your mind. Right? So we use our sutta sometimes in the wrong way, but it's not that bad. Right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to put the views in the right way, right? To get the right views. So today I'm going to talk about how to become a Buddhist. Now during the Buddha's time, a lot of people asked the Buddha. Right? Some when they hear the whole truth, they are convinced about what a Buddhist should be. So they commit, and then they tell the Buddha, from now on until the day I die, I will try to follow your teachings. Right? And straight away they become the Upasaka and Upasika. And it's recorded in the Nikaya. Now, this is in the Dhamma. Right? There's a guy called Tigajanu. He came and asked the Buddha. He says, we are all having a comfortable life, just like you, me. Right? Now, putting in modern days, we have got a car, we have got a job, we have got a family, we have got children. Sometimes we go on holidays. Right? So we are quite comfortable off. And how do I practice the Dhamma? Now, usually when people who are comfortable, they forget about practicing, isn't it? Yeah? So the Buddha says, that's what you should do. He says, now, Digajanu told the Buddha, we are laymen enjoying sensual pleasures, living at a home in a house full of children. We use sandalwood from Kasi, that means that all the perfumes and all these things. Because, and then we wear garlands. Those days they do that. Nowadays we don't wear garlands, but we put makeup.
Yeah, or jewelry. Yeah.
Men and women put makeup nowadays.
Or jewelry, Jim.
Scents and unguents. Of course, these are all the things to make you smell nice and look good. We receive gold and silver. Right? We use money. Right? We buy shares and so on. Right? And so ask the Buddha, let the Blessed One teach us the Dhamma in the way that will lead to our welfare. That means our goodness and happiness in this present life and in future lives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that means in now and the future. Right? So the Buddha told him there are 4 things that leads to the welfare and happiness of a person. It says, now he used the word accomplishment in initiative, which I'll explain that, accomplishment in protection, good friendship, and balanced living. Right? Now, I'll repeat again, accomplishment in initiative, accomplishment in protection, good friendship, and balanced living. Now you see, we are different from other people. The Buddha never tell you to believe in something which you can't see, right? And don't know blind belief. So believing in those things which are real. And the Buddha explained what is this accomplishment in initiative. That means whenever you earn your living, right? When you have a work, job, you've got a business, you got all these things, or some, say, the example the Buddha gave was during those Buddha's time, right? Whether by farming, by trade, raising cattle, archery, government service, or some other craft, that means some other occupation, be skillful and diligent. That means do your things well, understand your job very well, and do it very well. That means when you cook your gulai, cook it very well as well. Right? Everything we do, we must try to do it well.
So Jim, if we got students here, they also need to study well as well. Yeah?
Everything. That means whatever you're supposed to do it well. Right? When you are a father, be a good father. When you're a mother, be a good mother. When you're good children, become a good children. That will be on the second part of it, which is where the Buddha taught Sigala. Right? So, to be skillful and then what is meant by being skillful and diligent, he should possess good judgment about things. I mean, our decision should be right. And do everything, have a good judgment, and carry out and arrange it properly. And this is called a good initiative. So whatever we do, we must do it properly and good. You find that sometimes a lot of us, we say, okay, in the Malaysian Chinese community say we use the word chin chai. You heard about chin chai?
Yeah, but they kind of like
if you are from Jakarta, you would understand
chincai
that.
also. Yeah, but the word chincai sometimes is used differently. Like don't care. It's not
Yeah,
like
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you cook, we give dana, mind. Simply put,
Yeah.
what the Buddha does is do it properly.
Do it properly. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything you do. Because tentu.
Yeah.
Malay we
Pasti.
use
Yeah.
tentu.
Oh, pasti.
What bikin dengan tentu.
Oh iya, mungkin nggak,
Yeah.
ya nggak pasti ya.
Pasti, yeah.
Iya, tak pasti.
So
Ya.
that is why we got to put our attention in doing it and with the right and good intention. You find that a lot of Buddhists do that actually without knowing. Because when they give dana, they're always very particular. I say, I must cook it properly because we are going to give to the Buddha, we are going to the Sangha, we are going to give of our friends. So that is a good thing. But try to do it everywhere you do. When you do your work, try to do your work well. Don't say that, makan gaji tak apa. So don't worry about things. Do it diligently, do it properly. Okay? Now, the second thing the Buddha taught is accomplishment in protection. That means you protect your things, protect yourself. Right? Don't simply say that we are Buddhists, we leave everything to nature, we don't care. No. What do you mean by that? He says, when you have got your money, your wealth, your properties, and all these things, you must guard over them. Right? But the Buddha says, don't hold on to them very hard. You must guard over them so that it doesn't get burnt in the fire, it doesn't get washed away in the flood, right? It doesn't get robbed by robbers, and so on. Right? So we got to see whatever legal money you have, we must protect them. Right? Protect our money. It means don't simply say, I got money, I leave it everywhere. Right? And I don't care about it. Just be careful about whatever you own. Now, the Buddha is not talking to the monks. The Buddha are talking to lay people. That's why we say we have got a different rules or different things to follow than the monks. Right? The monks have got no borders in things, but we have border. Right? Whatever is mine is mine. Right? It doesn't mean that I cannot share with you, but when I share, I must have the willingness to share. And the willingness to share is part of our training as well. Okay? So, whatever you earn, the Buddha said in those days, earn by the sweat of your brow and the strength of your body, you must be there to guard it, right? And prevent it from being burned, from fire, from floods, and so on, and from displeasing heirs from taking it. That means if your children are no good, just keep your money and just be careful about it. Now, it doesn't mean that you're my son, you can take whatever money you want. Right? So this is called accomplishment in protection. It means you are able to protect your things. And then number 3, what the Buddha says is good friendship. And he asked, what is good friendship? You must get people who has got good faith in the Dharma. Right? That means we mix with people like in the Mangala Sutta. We must always associate people who are virtuous, isn't it? And you have people with, in faith, virtuous behavior, that means good behavior, with the sila and all these things, and with the generosity, the dana, and wisdom, the panya. Yeah? You must try to associate with them. But the trouble with a lot of Buddhists is when they see that he's a very religious person, I try to stay away from him because he might want to teach me something which which is not like what I want to do. Right? Always listen to good advice. When you have done something wrong, Just look at the person, ask advice from the person. Right? How should we live our life? Right? So that's why we have got certain respect for some monks. Right? Because these monks, they live a virtuous life. Right? That's why many of those monks who can teach us a lot of things, we try to look for advice from them every now and then. Yeah. So that's what is good friendship. And number 4 is what is balanced living. Now, this is a very important thing. The Buddha teach you how to live in a balanced manner with your finances. Right? That means you got to live according to the amount of money you earn. We are sometimes, I notice a lot of people, we can go beyond that. Right? If we don't have enough money, we live lavishly. So what do you do? Pinjam. Now credit card, bank card. Right? So we don't you try not to do that. If you don't have enough money, don't spend that much money. Right? And if you don't have enough money, try to earn more money so that you can spend the more money. That means you got to earn the money before you spend it. Right? So that is what they call a balanced living. Right? Now these are the 4 things we got to remember as lay people. He hasn't talked about the spiritual thing yet. He's talking about the facts in your daily life. Right? Now, this is what this 4 the Buddha has mentioned is good for our present life. Right? And for the future life. This is a long one. Now, for the future life is you must be accomplished in your faith, the saddha. Now, this saddha in Buddhism is not the kind of saddha which a lot of other religions possess. It's not blind faith, just simply belief. Right? So, what is the thing is, what is this faith? We got to have trust in something which is true. Right? Something which can be proven, and not in something which is being mentioned here and there and in the holy books. Right? But to the Buddhists, to us, when we can see that there is a Buddha, we must acknowledge him as somebody who is enlightened and who is there to teach us all the right things. Right? And that is the faith. But don't simply commit yourself to the belief without understanding what the Buddha taught. The Buddha is great. Why is the Buddha great? The Buddha is great because he taught the 4 Noble Truths. If the Buddha hasn't taught the 4 Noble Truths, he's not great at all. He's going to be called a Buddha. Okay? So understand that anybody who can teach us the 4 Noble Truths, who can come with the 4 Noble Truths, can be considered to be a Buddha. And therefore, he deserves our respect. And then the next one, the 4 just now we talk about the life and all this thing. This 4 is what we call the spiritual side of it. The accomplishment in virtuous behavior. The virtuous behavior, we can say, is our sila. Right? Usually, sila to us Buddhists is 4 silas, not 5. You know why? The early days of the Buddha, the 5th sila is not in. It's only about later that it came in. Because they found out that a lot of people say, okay, I do this, and keep on drinking. So what is the 4th thing is, oh, no, this one is 5. That's right. This one is already late. So, and talk about the virtuous behavior is the usual 5 things. Not to kill, not to steal, not to commit adultery, not to tell lies, and not to take intoxicants. Right? So, and it's because if you don't have this virtuous behavior, what happens is yourself and your community won't live peacefully. Right? When you do things which hurt other people, like when you kill somebody, when you steal something from others, if you break all these precepts, then how can you live peacefully? Supposing I killed somebody last night, you think I can sit down and talk to you? I'll be thinking, kill, scared people might find out, people take revenge. Eh? If I steal something from somebody, if I take things from somebody, I got my conscience. Right? And the thing is going to bother me for a while. Right? And then if I run away with somebody's wife, it's even worse. Right? So we got to try to keep to the sila. And the sila is not just a prohibition. It's not that to control you. The sila is for you to understand it. Why do you want to have sila? Every religion tell you about have sila, right? Sila, sila here, sila there, commandments and all this. Right? But why is that we need to have sila? It comes up from ourselves. It brings out the sense of respect for others. When you do not kill, we respect others' life and we respect life. If we don't steal, we respect the right of people to own properties. Same thing now. You can think, if I lose my things, do I feel happy about it or not? Right? The third one is respect for relationship. And the fourth one is very important. You don't tell lies because you show that you're respecting truth. Right? The truth is not a vulnerable truth, but the truth. Whatever is truthful. Right? And for us, we do not like people to tell us lies as well. And the fifth one is also quite important, is respect for wisdom. Panya. Because when you drink alcohol, when you take drugs and all these things, your mind is cannot think properly, and there's no more wisdom. It can make us commit a lot of things. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, plus a lot of other things, which are what we call in our language asusila. Right? So it's important that we have got this virtuous behavior. Most of us are not born like that. Right? But we can always train ourselves to be like that. Right? Don't pretend, just try to do it. Keep on doing it. And when you do it, you find that life is a lot much easier for us. Right? When you respect other people, chances are they respect you the same way. Right? When you don't respect people, they'll never respect us. But when you respect people, they might respect you back. Right? Then the third thing is in this second part is for the future life to sort of benefit us in future life is to have accomplishment of generosity. Right? There it says you should have a heart which is generous, right? And free of miserliness, freely generous, open-handed, and delighting in relinquishment, and one devoted to charity. That means we are happy to give. Now, this generosity sometimes is a very, very tricky thing as well. We got to teach ourselves how to be generous, but you got to be generous as far as you can afford. I've noticed some of the Mahanis, they gone overboard. They tell you to give more than what you can give. You can't. And the same thing is, sometimes people are so generous that they want to die for other people. That's another stupid thing to do as well. Right? You got to think of your own life so that you can save other people. I give you an example. When you see somebody drowning in the swimming pool or the sea, if you don't know how to swim, do you jump in there and save the person? That's being stupid, isn't it? So what they do is, if you drown in, there'll be 2 dead people. Right? You got to understand that. So when we talk about generosity, we got to have the other factors in it. On the other hand, for people who are not generous at all, they won't give a lot of things. Right? Or they give things with very strong conditions. But to us, we got to exercise that generosity in a much better way. Whatever benefit others, if we can do it, we have got the ability to do it, will help to give other people. Right? Supposing if I have $100, I cannot give more than $100. You don't understand that. The maximum I can give. Okay? And then accomplishment in wisdom. That's very important thing. That comes to the very important part of the Dharma. That means accomplishment in getting your mind in the right way. Wisdom is a result of a very good and well-trained mind. If your mind is not well-trained, you got no wisdom. You get a lot of knowledge. There are a lot of people who know a lot of things, but there's no wisdom. There are a lot of scientists I know, they have got no wisdom. So, what is this wisdom in the Buddhist manner? What does the Buddha talk about wisdom? The Buddha talk about wisdom is that knowing things rise and things pass away.
Okay.
Things come and things go. Things comes and go. That coming, the rising and passing away, also tells you about impermanence. That means when you got wisdom, you understand anicca very well. And then the wisdom, once you understand this, and understanding now this rising and passing away is also part of the paticca samuppada. Right? Things coming and developing and how it happens. So when you understand that, you can see things clearly and you can start to destroy your suffering. When you understand paticca samuppada well enough, you will destroy your suffering. The suffering won't arise. So you understand how it links. Now, supposing paticca samuppada says, you hear something and then inside you start to think of ideas and so on, you start to holding on to things and then you get angry. When you get angry, you're suffering, isn't it? Huh? So how do we stop suffering? The Buddha says, early stage, when you hear something, note that it's just hearing and let go. Right? What do you say let go in Indonesian?
Lepas.
Lepas. This lepas or what? Pelepasan is very important. Let go. Dengar, lepas. Dengar, lepas. Lihat, lepas. Lihat, lepas. Right? So keep on doing that. And you know that the thing is, if you don't lepas, you end up in dukkha. Eating the same thing. Right? If you cannot stand the thing, or it's not because the thing is not tasty, it's because you are attached to the uncomfortable taste. Right? So you don't lepas of the food. People say, don't eat. No, it's not don't eat. You get rid of that dislike. So this is what the Buddha mean by wisdom. Right? So this is the thing. The Buddha says to be watch out in the 8 things. You have got to be careful in your life. Right? You need to look up the teaching in the books of the 8 in the Anguttara Nikaya. Okay? If possible, print that out to give to everybody. That is the important thing in that wanting to become a good practicing Buddhist. You follow the teachings of the Buddha. This is Dhamma. Whatever other people tell you may not be it. Right? When people tell me to become a good Buddhist, I say, which sutta do you talk about? If he doesn't understand Digajanu Sutta, forget it. Right? So, there are people tell you to be a good Buddhist means to burn a big candle. I know my friend in Jakarta, he spends a few $100s, a few $1,000s every year, burn a big candle to last 1 year. I say, what a waste of wax.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're heating up the continent as well. Right? Why not you transfer your money to do something a lot better? Right? So, to be a good Buddhist is not only, this is the initial part with the understanding. But the second part, which I'm going to talk about, is the more practical way of how to keep the Buddhist, how to live in the Buddhist community. Okay? The next part is what we call the Sigalovada Sutta, which is more well known than the
Digajanu.
Sutta to Digajanu. Okay? Now, the background is this young man prays to 6 directions every morning, and then the Buddha saw him one day, and then said, why do you pray like that? He said, oh, my father asked me to do it. And it's very common for all Indian belief to pray to the 6 directions. So the Buddha gave him something, some meaning into what he's doing. Right? It's just like for us, a lot of things we do has got no meaning. Right? When you bow, we always bow with the wrong meaning. Right? We got to bow to the Buddha with great respect. Don't simply say, I just bowing or 3 times a day enough, quickly run away. Right? So when we put incense, we have to do it with meaning. Right? Don't simply do it because my grandmother told me what to do all these things. We got to understand what is the meaning behind all these things. Right? So that we can lead a form of better and meaningful life. So the Buddha gave more sense to this young fella so that he prays in the 6 directions in the proper way. But the Buddha started off by telling him something else, explaining to him certain things like relationships and all this. And the relationship the Buddha talks about is how do we treat a lot of things which are unwholesome. Right? And they talk about unwholesome things, the Buddha talk about is don't act on anything out of attachment. Right? What's the word attachment in Indonesian?
Lekatan.
Lekatan.
Lekat. Yeah.
Okay. So don't act anything out of attachment. Don't act on anything out of ill will. Right? Ill will means anger and all this thing. Folly, that means stupidity. And fear. We act a lot of times out of fear. Sometimes we go to temple to pray. Why? Because we are scared. That's why we go and pray. But it says don't do that. Because you don't build your life on fear. So this thing asks us, don't do anything out of attachment, ill will, stupidity, that means folly, and fear. So that, does it apply to you? Does it apply to me or not? We do that very often. So, if possible, we try to train ourselves not to do it. Don't tell me today that tomorrow I'm going to be to change. You can't. You change slowly, and you change slowly is through part of the Eightfold Path to be mindful, of your living. Right? So the Buddha explained all this in detail about desire and hatred, fear and folly. And then he also said there are 6 ways of wasting one's money when he follows things. Number 1 is addiction to strong drinks and intoxicants. Is it true or not? People who always going for alcohol, even in Australia where the alcohol is very cheap, you still go broke drinking. Right? I've seen young people spending $200 and $300 just one night on alcohol. Right? So don't waste your money on that. And drugs is even worse. So try to avoid them. And then we waste our money also, or waste our time going. Those days they say roaming in the streets, right? They do things outside, go and meet with friends and all this. Right? So it's roaming the street at unfitting time. That's the time of the Buddha. Is one, and addiction to gambling is another one. Right? We all know that addiction to gambling, but we only see the small gambling. When those people play mahjong or play with cards or play with dice and all these things, or go to casino, that's gambling, that's bad. But there are also some other gambling as well. When you think about the more of the other gambling, it's sort of acceptable gambling. People go gambling in a share market.
Lotto.
Right? So anyway, if you got to be very careful. It's not that you cannot do gambling. It's just that when you gamble, there are a lot of results when you gamble. Right? When you gamble in a small way, you lose money in a small way. You can get into debt and all these things. But you gamble in a big way, you lose your life, you lose everything. Right? So Buddha says, it's not that you don't gamble, but you got to be very careful about this sort of things. And in life, we cannot avoid gambling. You cross the road, you are gambling. And there's a busy traffic, you are gambling. That cars don't come too fast and knock you down, isn't it? And for me, I'm gambling because I have got a walking stick and I don't fall down in the middle of the road and then cars can knock me. So this is the gambling. We got to take risks. Right? But don't take unnecessary risks to lose everything or to make your life miserable. Right? Now, when somebody asks you to buy a raffle ticket, it's gambling. But can you afford it or not? Don't pay. Don't put in too much money as to cause you problems. Right? Same thing with a lot of Buddhists won't tolerate alcohol. Right? It's not so much so that when you go to a restaurant, you always tell the Chinese chef, don't put any alcohol in your cooking. Right? I know some of the Mahayanis doing that. Right? But that is not the point. You are not drinking the thing for pleasure. That is putting in cooking. Right? So you got to be very reasonable with things. Right? So it doesn't mean that when you see alcohol, you must get upset with it. We don't get upset with things because it's something which people should avoid. But we got to be very careful with it so that we don't consume it to cause us problem. Right? And going on the other side, people will tell me, what's wrong with alcohol? I only drink 1 or 2 glasses of wine. It won't do any wrong to me. There's one monk who told me, he says, Jim, if you don't drink the first glass, you never get drunk. Is that right? No?
Yes.
If you have 1 glass, then you go second glass, you go third glass, you go fourth glass, and gone. bubble. So we have got to be very careful with this sort of things. It's not that intoxicants are bad, but intoxicants will cause a lot of problem if you mishandle it. Right? It's about the mishandling that is important. Right? So if you see a bottle of brandy somewhere, if you don't touch it, nothing is going to happen. But you open the bottle and then put one glass and drink and say nothing will happen, you might go for a second glass. So we treat those sort of things like that. And also he talks about not wasting your time. Wasting time sometimes can be loitering around, doing nothing. I think in our society, not so much in Indonesia, but I see in Malaysia in the rural area, people have got a lot of time. So what they do is instead of going to the paddy field, the rice field to go and do work, they sit in the coffee shop, coffee stall, whole 3 or 4 hours drink one cup of coffee and talk. Does that happen in your villages in Indonesia? No?
Oh, it's very famous. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is why, you see, that is the thing which the Buddha says, don't do. Because when you loiter around and you talk about things, sooner or later you talk nonsense. Right? If you talk necessary things, it's short period. But for a long time, if you've got nothing to talk about, you start to invent things to talk about, then it becomes imaginary. Right? Even for very good things. I've seen those fellas, they're discussing about the some parts of the Islamic teaching, right? Because they are mainly Malays and Muslims. And they talk first, in the beginning, is very good. But after that, they start to go into all sorts of funny things. Right? They keep on saying things and so on. And they come up because they got no proper guidance, and the mouth and the mind doesn't stop. So they end up, there's one discussion, they ended up by saying that using chopsticks to eat is the work of kafir. You're kafir, therefore you eat the chopsticks.
Why?
Not because, that's what they say, because the Chinese eat with chopsticks. And the Chinese are all kafir. Until one guy came, right? He's not in the group of discussing. He tells him, he told the fellow, he said, hey, look, in China, there were more Muslims than you get in your country.
Oh yeah, in the Western Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says there are 70 million Chinese Muslim in
Muslim
China,
Chinese, yeah.
and they all with the chopsticks. So are they kafir or are they Islam? Then only they start arguing. So you see how we can, when you start with simple thing, keeping your sila and all this, and you're not careful, that is what will happen. And the loitering and all these things, if you walk at night, doing nothing, you tend to be robbed. What for do you want to go out and do that? And in the Buddha's time, attending to look for shows and all this is also a waste of time. Right? You watch people dancing, now it's considered not a good thing to do. Right? Nowadays we say, okay, it's okay to watch dancers, to go and listen to concert and all these things, so accept it. But if you are going to be addicted to all this sort of unnecessary things, then you're wasting your time, wasting your money. Right? So the Buddha goes on to tell a lot of things which are not beneficial for our living. A lot of these only are the sort of ideas which they have during that time, Buddha's time. Right? But whatever it is, a lot of things the Buddha said about friends, about people, your company you keep, is very, very true. Right? So they talk about good friends and talk about bad friends. Right? And also, in that things, the Buddha talk about relationship. Now, relationship among people, relationship in your family. Now, for those people who have those days, everybody gets married. So, what's a relationship between husband and wife? Relationship between parents and children. Right? relationship between teachers and students, relationship between
Employees and
religious teachers and the disciples.
oh,
All these things are being they give examples of what to do to them, how to behave to them, and that is the way we say how to become a Buddha's disciple as a lay person. Right? Now, this Sigalovada Sutta is a very well-known sutta. Right? So you try to get some. I'm quite sure it appears in the Indonesian version as well.
I do, we do. Yeah.
So get some and circulate around.
Yeah.
Right? And use this as a guide for our living. How we should treat other people. Among friends, how we should treat people with honesty, with open-mindedness, right? With generosity and so on. With parents, we treat them with respect, with generosity, with kindness, and all those things. Right? And when you look at it, the thing is, when the advice the Buddha gives to a relationship between husband and wife is much better than what the Western people are doing nowadays. That they got to treat with respect. Now, while they talk about the husbands, it says you must provide livelihood to the wife. Those days, that's like that. And the wife, in turn, got to do her job, work properly, so that they have a well balanced life in the family. So these are the things you look at it. They are there to maintain harmony in society, the peacefulness. And once you start to have this harmony and peacefulness in society, the society will prosper. Right? And maybe a future day, I'm going to talk to you someday about the Buddha's advice how to be prosperous in the society. That's the Buddha's advice to some of the people when they are going to be invaded by another country. That is in the Digha Nikaya. So when you look at this, these are the two very important suttas. One is to tell you what you should do. The other one is how you do it, right? Why you should do it and how you should do it. And the third one is how we normally do it. And that one you chant it every time you pray. Mangala Sutta. Right? Don't treat the Mangala Sutta as a protection thing. Right? It's protecting you all right if you follow it. Right? If you don't follow it, the Mangala Sutta is worthless. So go and read it, the 31 things which is saying. What is the blessings? Right? Respecting your parents, and then staying in a good place, and all these things. It's not nonsense. Okay? So that is what I'm going to, my message today. And if you have any questions, just, I think I'm over my time already.
Yeah. I probably can just ask one question, Jim. Yeah. About the Sigalo pada Sutta. It's about the parents and the children relationship. Supposedly, if someone have two sets of parents, like the biological parents and adopted parents, did the Buddha also mention that this is actually applied to both set of parents, or just the biological parent, or just the adopted parents?
Respect is respect.
Yeah.
There's no biological parent, there's no natural parents. Now, as far as parenthood goes, you can see the sort of the standard is on respect. Right? If also on gratitude. Right? So for the biological parents, even though they give a person away when they was very young, the respect or the gratitude you have is for them to bring you to this world.
Yeah.
Right? And the gratitude to the adoptive parents is the nurturing they give you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bringing up. Yeah.
So we don't say that one is better than the other. Right? And when you say that, now you not got to know when they talk about the six relationship.
Yeah.
Actually, the whole overall value of this six is on respect. You respect your wife, you respect your husband. You respect your son, the children, we got to respect them as well. Respect your children and give them love. They in turn got to respect you and give the love to you. So when we have that sort of relationship, you find that the community which you live in is more stable. Right? We don't have a lot of problems, and the lawyers, of course, will go unemployed because there's no divorce. There's no such thing as property property dispute.
Separation. Yeah. Dispute. Yeah. So same thing, Jim. So it's also applicable if someone already got um, son-in-law or daughter-in-law. This is also applicable not only to their biological children, but also the in-law.
Everybody.
Yeah. So it's the respect is
Yeah.
the respect is actually the core of this Sigalowada Sudha. Okay. Yeah.
The Sigalowada Sutta is bringing out into reality. If you respect, we we tend to discriminate, but respect has got no discrimination. If you respect, even respect people away from your family and so on, when you can maintain the sort of respect, that is harmony in society. So the Buddha does not only teach you to be mindful for your nibbana, or teach you how to live in this world. Because as lay people, you got to live in the world. You are not in the monastery locked up. Right? You got to go and meet with your broker, you got to meet with the employer, you got to meet with the employee. Right? All these things, and all of them are involved in this, your daily life. Right? So you can see that Buddhism is not about all the time going and sit down there and do meditation. Right? The important part is to be able to go around in your daily life having a more accomplished life. They're all very impressed.
Can I ask one more last question? Then this should be it, but Jim. And after that, I'll let you go. So in the Sigalowada again, with the relationship with the siblings, which direction that it should fall? It should fall. Is it parents to children, or is it employees and employer within siblings, like brother and sister, younger brother and younger sister, or young whatever?
If the parents bring up the children properly, they will naturally live together properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how a very important part in the teachings. This is a case which happens when I was attending one of the meetings. This Venerable Piyadasi. He wrote, he's a big author during about 20 or 30 years ago. He came and gave a talk to the Sri Lankans. This is a very important message I got. Give a talk to Sri Lankans, and then in their house, this guy is I think he's either a lawyer or doctor. Then after the talk, somebody asked Venerable Piyadasi, how to make my children follow the precepts. Right? Very simple, isn't it? Very simple question. So Venerable Piyadasi looked at the fella and then looked into, those our people who are well off. They got a cabinet where they keep all the alcohol.
Oh.
So Piyadasi just pointed there. If you come home, open the cabinet up and pour yourself a cup of drink and drink, when the children sees it, they never keep the precepts.
Yeah, just be a role model. Yeah.
We got to be good example ourselves. Right? If you teach them to be generous, you got to be generous. If you want to teach them kind, you got to be kind to them. Isn't it? That is why we say the Buddha teaches the truth. The truth is when I see my parents being generous. The reason why I do all these sort of things is because of I see my parents, my mother. Right? She's very generous with the things, and anything she wants to do, okay, do. Right? So it calms us. She doesn't teach me how to be generous. She never taught me that. But I look at her, I said, after a few times, you understand that. Right? So you want the children to keep the precepts, try to keep it yourself. Right? You want the children to be generous, show your generosity. Right? Why our people are very generous on religious occasions? Because they see we are generous when we give dana, isn't it? Huh? Why they can see us giving food, the whole table full of food, isn't it? That's what they learn. But you want to tell them more subtle things, you got to do it yourself. We got to show example. Right? The Chinese say, when the big dog jumps over this wall, the small dog will learn how to jump over the wall as well. Okay? Now when you do that, you find that you become a better Buddhist because of your children. Because I myself went through that. Right? I talked to Chao Kun Samai. Says, why my children listen to you but don't listen to me? He says, Jim, you got too much defilement to show your children, that's why. Very true. Right? They see me getting angry. So I can tell them, don't get angry, they say get angry. How to teach them when you are not like that? Okay, so
Thank you, Jim.
any more questions? I think I have one more question, Ken.
No, I think
No, okay.
I'm just a talkative one today.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Thank you.